One thing I found out in my life once I started my journey is how amazing we are and how far we can go and how strong our mind is. But I found out through belief. You know, I never blamed God for anything, and I was very patient in my life, and I had true belief. A lot of us believe in God, but you know, some of us kind of believe in God. When things go bad, we blame God. I had a true belief, and that true belief allowed me to go to a place in my mind that most people are afraid to go because it's painful. There's suffering involved, and there's questioning involved of why am I doing this? I was able to go to these dark places and find light, and I found myself in this journey. When I was so far away from myself, from blaming people, the second I started blaming myself, I found myself. So I have a way to kind of go inside and become a better person. So I say Roger that a lot, and I say Roger that because what I found out going through training, I've been in every single special ops training, from Delta Force to Rangers to Air Force Special Ops to Navy SEALs. Wherever hard is, let me go there so I can see who David Goggins is. And a lot of people quit because it really does suck. It is so hard and so miserable that it literally questions you are as a man. So what I found out about people was what makes a person quit is they overthink a situation in front of them. So in BUDS, SEAL training, the water temperature is very cold. It's the Pacific Ocean. It's freezing. You've been up all day, all night for 70 some hours, 80 some hours. And your mind is saying, why in the world am I doing this? The people who make it through training are the people who just say in their mind, Roger that. So if the instructor were to tell me, hey, David, jump in that water, do a sugar cookie, do 1,000 push-ups, I didn't think about it because it sounds real stupid. You know, you think about it like, you know what, I'm not doing this. I'm going home, taking a hot shower, drinking some coffee, getting a nice donut, and I'm gonna be comfortable. So when you think too much, you become very weak. And thinking is good, but sometimes thinking is bad. So I came up with this slogan of the Roger that mentality. The Roger that mentality, when somebody says do something, you just do it. You don't think about it, you say Roger that, you don't overthink it, and before you know it, that task is done. And you can go on with your life, and you didn't overthink it, and you become very successful. So I was in the Air Force, and I was trying to be Air Force Special Operator, and I was almost through the, you know, like I'm done with the training, and they found out I have sickle cell. Sickle cell disqualified me from being an Air Force Special Operator. So I fought it, went to Secretary of Defense. They allowed me back into training, and they said I got to start back from day one. I said, no way. I was scared of the water, didn't want to go back through the water again. So I gained all this weight and depression. At home, I was sitting back a year later, and I saw this show on the Discovery Channel of Navy SEALs going through Hell Week. And I talked about that accountability mirror. I said, you know what? I'm tired of being scared. Once again, I'm going right back to who I was back in high school. I was going back to who everybody said I was, and I didn't want to be that anymore. So I decided to go to the recruiter and say I want to be a Navy SEAL. Long story short, the recruiter said I got to lose 105 pounds in like 60 days because I was almost too old to be a SEAL. You all know the story. I lost the weight, and I went on to go through three Hell Weeks, and I became a Navy SEAL. I remember I used to stutter real bad. I was so nervous and so afraid of everything. And I'll never forget how hard it was for me because this voice just annoyed me. Because my mom went around a lot, great woman, and my dad was so abusive, but this voice just kept on haunting me about what to do. And if I were to do bad, it would just stay there. And I'm like, gosh, just leave me alone. I'm so tired of taking the hard road, and the hard road was really God kind of guided me through my whole life. And the one thing I realized, everybody asked me, how in the world did you make it to where you're at today without having a mentor, not having all these great things that people think you need to have? You know, people think you need to have these great parents and money and a great education and great talent of athleticism and all sort of stuff. And I realized, you know, I'm so glad that I didn't leave the voice, because the voice led me right to where I'm at today. As painful as it was to follow that voice and to always tell people when I messed up, I apologize and hold myself accountable. I've never blamed God, but God definitely has put it to me a couple times. So in SEAL training, you're only supposed to go through one Hell Week. I'm the only person in the history of Navy SEAL training in 70 years who's gone through 3 Hell Weeks. And I went through 3 Hell Weeks in 1 year, and some of you may not know what Hell Week is. Hell Week is the hardest training the military has to offer. It's 130 hours of continuous training. In the 130 hours, you might get 2 hours of sleep. And the whole idea of this training is to literally destroy a man, and once the man is destroyed, the training starts. So I was lucky enough to go through, it was only 1 year when this happened out of 70 years, and I was in that 1 year, praise God, where the commander was like, look, if anybody gets hurt or anybody fails something, we're gonna roll you back to day 1 of training. I don't care if you're the last week of training, and training is 6 months long. I'm gonna put you back to day 1. So what happened to me was Hell Week is the 5th week of training, and I got to somewhere in Hell Week and I got injured. Got rolled back to day 1. Day 1 of training. Went through, my second time going through, went through that complete Hell Week. I was getting ready to start the second phase of training. I'm all, you know, happy because Hell Week's the hardest part of training. What happens? I mess up my leg. Go back to day 1 again. Start day 1 again. Made it through that Hell Week, and that Hell Week, it was so horribly cold in San Diego. We had a guy die of pulmonary edema. I got through, became a Navy SEAL. So when I was going through training, we had to carry these real big heavy ass logs and boats around. And I realized on the toughest of days, my mind would allow the demons to come in and roost in my head and start to give me all these different thoughts. So I realized if I can find a little bit more during training, I can get over these hard times. So what I would do is, after a hard day of getting my ass kicked, I would go to the gym. And I realized if I could go to the gym after these hard fucking days, it would teach my mind that there was no finish line. So one day, this one guy in my boat crew saw me going to the gym. He said, well, I'm going to the gym after a hard day at Bud's. I said, those boats and logs are fucking heavy. A couple of days later, we were carrying boats and logs down the beach, down and back. He quit. I looked at him, I said, hey, who's gonna carry the boats? The idea is this: life is the boat. When I first joined the military, I got some of the worst advice of all time. That advice was to blend in. Don't stand out. Make sure that, you know, if they don't volunteer for anything, don't do any of that, you know, exceeding the expectations, you know, trying to be your best. And that mentality right there is exactly what keeps you at mediocre level. And I call it the blending in mentality. So if I had that mentality, I would have had, you know what, I'm okay at 297 pounds. I'm okay not liking to run, not liking to swim. I'm not gonna try to be a SEAL. I'm not gonna go to Ranger school. I'm not gonna try to, you know, push these limits in ultra races. Your mentality just stays there with the blending in. If you look around the society right now, there's a lot of motherfuckers who are blending in. You can see them. They're blending in. Change your mentality and never blend in. I just got off a 17-hour flight. And I'm sitting there thinking, take a day off. No more no. But I keep on thinking too, there's always someone out there who's working harder than you. I'm haunted by that motherfucker. Knowing that someone out there is willing to forgo personal desires and comforts, forgo sleep, forgo whatever it takes to be better, to be the best. In life, a lot of times, a lot of us have that person out there. There may not be a name or a face to him, but he exists. You make sure in life when they think about that person, you make sure they put a name and a face to it. You make sure the name and face is yours. You do the haunting. Get in somebody's head. Own space. In those times when you want to quit, because we're all human, you make sure you remember one thing. All those times and hours and days you sacrifice to be the best.